There we go.
All right, there we are.
All right. Well, Jim, it only took us an hour and a half to get that shit figured out.
This, we, I'm not sure which delayed screen to look at. The one over here that's delayed like a little, or the one over here that's delayed like a lot. I just got to stop looking at delayed screens.
Yeah, and
So,
that's the thing. I mean, I've got, if you, I've got three of them here on my end because there's also a delayed screen on YouTube.
oh yeah, that sounds
You know,
yeah. I'm looking at the delayed screen. Oh yeah, you got the OBS or the Streamlab is open as well.
yeah, Streamlab is, that's actually the one that's not delayed, or maybe a few seconds, but or a fraction of a second, but that one's not delayed. Uh, Actually looks like Discord's about the same. YouTube's usually lagging behind a little bit, so.
Yep.
Alrighty, sorry about all the technical difficulties here, folks. Thanks for
Everybody,
hanging
can you
in.
hear both of us?
Yeah, can
Oh,
everybody
great.
hear everybody?
It looks like our screen froze. And look at my face in that frozen screen. Oh god,
Oh, dude.
that is horrible. How did the screen freeze? No, that Streamlabs always worked. Oh no.
Give it a bit, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, give it a minute. Catch up with us.
Well, the good news is we got audio again.
Yeah. Mike St. Croix says we've got us. He can hear us both. Okay, here we go. We're starting to move again. So things are moving again. We just got to give it time. We got to let these things sync up. I wonder if that's what some of these channels are doing when you're waiting for like 5 minutes for the channel to start, as they're syncing these ridiculous things.
I've also got YouTube set to ultra low latency, so I wonder if that doesn't have something to do with it. But
Oh,
you know,
yeah, I don't know.
so I don't know. We'll roll with it here. So,
Yeah, if you
you know,
have to change it, you can.
yep, everybody can hear us, so that's the important thing. So, cool. Well, guys, thanks for hanging in there with us. We, it's pretty easy for me to do this thing on my own. I've got it set up now. I finally got it figured out and set up. I can just turn on the camera, sit down, and click go live, and off we go. Um, but yeah, trying to integrate another user into this has proven to be well.
How much time have we spent today?
Fortunately, Jim knows how this shit works because I don't. Let's see. I'm going to turn up my audio a little bit. Turn on the
Yeah, that's
interface a little better.
yep.
Alrighty. So, Jeff Seven says, "Man triumphs over technology."
Yeah.
Yeah, technology there to make our lives easier, right? Okay.
Oh my God, no. It is not making my life. We did a whole episode on this a little while back on
All
how
right.
technology has definitely not made my life easier. And if it wasn't for technology, I wouldn't have a job. My day job would be post.
Oh boy, yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad. I don't know. I can't drive. I can't operate guitars as well as I can sell guitars and shit, or I can't operate computers as well as I can sell guitars. So,
Yeah.
Oh, I suppose that's debatable from time to time as well. Anyway,
Ah,
cool. Well, who all we got here? John McDonough from over from London. Charles
yeah.
75N, Savinity Guitars, local to me now. He just moved up here to this part of the world. Mike St. Croix.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Jim's in the chat. JG Mopar is here. Joe Trey's here, and Dave Escobar is joining the soiree. And I think that's everybody for the moment. So, cool. Well, if you guys aren't familiar with Jim, I asked Jim to join me here today because, well, partially just because he's a good friend, and and we have fun doing this kind of shit together. And but also, I thought it would be cool to let you guys bounce shit off of two of us, and also give Jim's channel and podcast to plug. Obviously, you guys hear me talk about the Practical Guitarist podcast quite a bit, and Jim is one half of the Practical Guitarist podcast. David Hill being the other, obviously. So, anyway, if you guys enjoy listening to guitar podcasts and stuff, I listen to them all the time. So I think you guys would enjoy it, and I am thrilled and honored to have Jim joining me here today. So,
well, thank you. I think I'm only your second guest. Because, right, Max was your first guest, wasn't he? Other than Zoe.
Yeah. Well, of course there's Zoe, and who's being surprisingly quiet at the moment. But Max, I don't know if you call him a guest because that was more of a collaboration video.
That was a good one too.
So it was fun. That was a lot of fun. Honestly, I may have mentioned this in the past. The only reason why that video turned out as well as it did is because of Max. I know, just because I know how much time goes into all of this, I didn't want to, impose on his time any more than necessary. I proposed this to him, say, hey, this is an idea. I'd love to do a video with you. Here's what I'm thinking, and I kind of outlined everything. He replied back and said, hey, let's do it. I said, okay, cool. So, I sent him some details and, what I was thinking. And, he came back and he said, this is your deal. I'm not, I'm not stepping on I don't want to step on any toes. So, if this is what you want to do, that's cool. But, if you're having another creator, as a guest on one of your videos, you're not interacting with them is probably, I think that's really a missed opportunity, so why don't we do this? And, really what he laid out, the ideas that he expressed, that he shared with me were pretty much what, how that video turned out. So, I mean, he had a lot more to do with it than I did. And, so I mean, I was really, really grateful, obviously, that he actually took the time, to put that much effort into it. And, especially because, I mean, those videos going up on my channel, I mean, he's got a bigger audience. I mean, most of my viewers already watch his videos anyway. So, there wasn't a whole lot to gain for him. But that video turned out as well as it did because of one, he cared enough to to put out a good product, and two, he was generous enough with his time, and quite frankly more creative and had better ideas than I did. So yeah, that was a lot of fun, and I'm very, very grateful for that. So I hope to do more with other creators here in the future. I've got a couple of feelers out there at the moment, but with some other people, and I'm not going to disclose who those people are, but hopefully those will come to fruition at some point. So
so I guess while we've got video, I've got a story that I can share.
Please.
So for those who have been through selling or losing a guitar in the past, I sold a guitar. I was kind of in a dark place in my headspace, and I let go of a lot of gear, and I let go of my number one, and I thought I'd never see it again. I was in Guitar Center this week for my lesson, and hanging on the wall was my guitar, and it just so happened to be the Golden Pearl Les Paul Standard that I was using before, and seems YouTube is frozen again, but that's okay. And
I think we can expect that from time to time. I feel fairly often here, but oh well.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure why. It might be the ultra low latency thing, whatever. But anyway, so I got it back, and so once we get video back, I'll show it to everybody. But and I verified via serial number that it was my old guitar. So that's an awesome feat in and of itself. I got to tell you, man, it was such a good feeling. It wasn't a great feeling to give all that money back. I used to sold it.
I didn't ask you what you paid for it, but
but yeah, she looks great. I mean, there's a little buckle rash. You can kind of see it in the light. and a couple of dings. But you know what? She's no worse for the wear. And the sound is just as good as it was. Oh, there it is. We got the video back. So
Is that gold
this is
hardware?
my golden pearl, gold hardware, gold everything.
Oh
They went
shit!
out all out on this. Everything is gold. Gold locking tuners. Um, so yeah,
Wow.
she's a stunning. Even check this out.
Is it a
Even the
custom shop or
standard.
is that a custom shop?
Well, it was a custom run. They only made a few hundred for old worldwide.
Limited run, but not
Even
a
the
custom
words,
shop. Okay.
yeah, even the word standard is gold,
Wow.
and these two screws are gold.
Hmm.
Um, so the only thing that's not gold, which I found weird because I've seen them do that kind of thing, is the Gibson. But yeah, everything's gold. Just a stellar piece. And and these pickups, I don't know what it is. David, my co-host, he always tells me, "Don't spend your money. Don't spend your money." This time,
Well,
this time
both
he
of you
goes,
guys buy. I will say both of you guys buy gear from me. It's a lot easier to get money out of you than it is him. But that's
"Yeah, yeah," and he
uh,
goes, "Yeah, I spend gear with you all week long." And then I send people, but anyway, so he goes, "Sell your double cut, sell your PRS, sell whatever." He goes, "Go get that guitar. There was something about that guitar with you." And yeah, it was a great story. And I'm just glad to have it back. And the beauty of it is that thing will go out and it will play a gig very soon. So that's gonna be a biggie.
well, congratulations, dude. That's
Thank
good
you.
stuff. JG Mopar has been the first one to crack open the PayPal account
Oh,
this afternoon, and so while I'm thinking about it, if you guys want to support the channel, you are able to do so with the $sign down there and below the chat box, or you can hit up the PayPal link or the Patreon link, either one in the description box below this. Well, pretty much any of my videos, or oops, you know what? While I'm thinking about it, that reminds me, I forgot to pin. I usually pin my Teespring, a link to my Teespring shop here at the top of the chat for everybody. So if you would like to treat yourself to a t-shirt, you can certainly do that. And yeah, so cheap plug out of the way.
yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm sending you my PayPal right now.
Oh, you don't have to do that, Jim. Very very kind of you, but
Well,
you just
I
bought
do
like
that every time, every week. It's not going to change just because you brought me on the channel.
I know. Yeah, I see it. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very very
Welcome.
much. So what's happening in the gear world this week for anybody? Anybody else land
Yeah,
anything
you
cool?
got any questions? Yeah, we'll unfreeze again. This the video is we're not really sure what's going on with YouTube today. Um, we spent 2 hours to get Discord into the sharing software so that we could get into YouTube. So
Right.
we're taking what we can get. There we are. We are unfrozen again.
Wow. Hang on one second here.
So yeah, Sean Zimmerman says the mother of pearl Gibson nicer than gold foil logo that they use. Yeah, it is. I mean, you really have to see this one in person. It's not a gold top like what a standard gold top would look like. It is
I'm gonna let you drive for a
truly
second, Jim.
yeah, it's got flex like when somebody would put on the um, when somebody would put on sparkle or glitter, and so it's very glittery. It's almost green in some light, and I think giving it that aged gold top look without being aged gold top, which is pretty cool. But yeah, and it's very light. It's under 9 pounds. Both my Les Pauls are under 9 pounds. That one is about 8.5, and this one's um, about 8. So, or about the same. So they're within a few ounces of each other. Let's see. Jeff Seven says there's been a 65 SG Junior. So Jeff, did you let that guitar go or those guitars go and never get them back, or did you finally get them back? That would be an interesting story to hear. Alexander Garcia has been there, letting go of autograph number one. It's a hard one. What I usually do, I identify my guitars by putting something on the inside of them, and then I then go through recording that. I'll take a picture. That way, I can tell the local techs and anybody that's buying in guitars, hey, open this cavity. Look here. If you find this, that's mine. That's my little calling card. So something that I like to do to make sure. JG Mopar got a Rev. Nice. The Rev GT20, that's a or G20. That's a really nice amp. Did you get a combo or a head, by the way? Let's see. Someone sprung for the fireman, Jeff 7, sprung for the fireman. That's nice. Oh, you never got him back? You're looking for your Epiphone 935i? Yeah, and that's a hard one to find at all, much less find yours. Oh, you got the head. That's really cool. That's awesome. I'm used to bouncing around between conversations, guys. So if I get out there, you guys can just say, hey. Yeah, that's a great hack, Alexander. It's just a little thing that you can do so that somebody can't say, well, that I had that. They're not going to know when they bring it to a tech that you put something inside the cavity. And it's kind of like I hate to say where I got the idea, but I'll share it with you. So the movie Silence of the Lambs, when they pull the moth, and that's where I got the idea. So I like horror movies. What can I say? So yeah, I also those of you who might not know, I picked up a Les Paul double cut. She's on the wall right there, that red one. That's a 2008. And it's one of those closet queens that has been hanging around for 13 years. It sat. The guy got it plecked. He put it in the case and he put it away. I had to get it set up. I actually have, this is funny since the video's still going. I have the original strings. It's pretty, that's pretty funny. And you can feel that they're original. Oh my God, they're terrible. All scrapey and stuff. Yeah, the double cut is sweet. It's got a very different feel, and it's chambered. This guitar is also chambered. The gold top Les Paul is chambered. It's really, really hard. I see somebody's thinking about getting the Kramer Beretta Special Run. I got to tell you, those are awesome guitars, and then you can turn it into your own Frankenstrat, and you won't spend nearly the money everybody wants for the Eddie Van Halen stuff. Let's see, 3 guitars you missed. Dave Escobar says sold years ago. Charvel Model 4, made in Japan. Oh, geez, yeah. Proline Ibanez 5, made in Japan, or Ibanez V, sorry, made in Japan. Yeah, that's killer. That's a stellar guitar. Another one. And a USA 1984 Charvel USA Kaler. Oh, man. No, don't sell your guitars anymore. You can get rid of stuff that nobody's going to get rid of when they get their hands on it. Let's see. My question is how to keep it gold. Yeah, that the fact is that gold, it's tough. Like when you have gold jewelry, believe it or not, even gold jewelry will turn tarnished to green. Now, I don't know if you know this, but the way they did the original gold tops were actually not gold. That was copper in the paint. Okay, so they painted the guitars with copper flecks in it, and that's what made it gold. Copper tends to green real fast. There's a term for it, and it has another language word for green. I can't remember the word, but that's what copper tends to do. Brass does the same thing because it's got copper elements. And I don't know if you know this about some Les Pauls. that gold that's on them is actual gold uh, plating. Yeah, patina. Thank you, William. So that gold plating is real, which tends to green out. It's I know it doesn't look good, and it's not for everybody. It's just like a rainy night is not for everybody, but some people love a rainy night. Um, and and the beauty of a gold top and any gold guitar is that turning of color over towards the into the greenish that it does do. You can't. The only way to actually keep it from turning greenish is to prevent contact with as much sweat as possible. So keep your hands really dry when you're using your arms. If you have to, use long sleeves, but that's going to wear on the actual finish. Sleeves will wear, so make sure you're wearing like a soft cotton sleeve, like a long t-shirt, long sleeve t-shirt type thing. Won't do as much. Um, Jim has to pay for his new guitar. I don't share in the profits of this, by the way. Um, Robert has to get his new. And in case you didn't know, yeah, I know. Fried Rutabaga said Eddie Rabbit loved Rainy Night. I know. I was using the song. I'm glad somebody caught that. Let's see. Um, Tube Screamers. Not really sure. Any vintage pedals you own, like vintage wah pedals, Clyde. I don't have any vintage pedals. I do have, I don't know if you could call it a vintage pedal, but I do have a really old, I think it's made in Japan, uh, chorus pedal from Boss that's worth money. Um, I ought to send it to you so you can fix it so it would maintain its value. Um, let's see. Robert might own some vintage pedals. I don't. Robert, do you own any vintage pedals? Sean
I've
Zimmerman
got,
was asking.
depending on what your definition of vintage is, if you're the when I was on the retail side of the business, I mean, the official definition of retail was 25 years old or older, and or more valuable now than it was when it was new. So that was the definition of vintage, as far as at least as far as the steps that we would take as far as making an offer on somebody's gear of that nature. So get under those parameters. I have, let's see, I've got the Boss DF2 distortion feedbacker thing. Matter of fact, I did a demo of that here several months ago. A couple of other, like that turbo, my turbo overdrive is probably probably that old as well. Well, hell, the extortion and power driver are that old now too. So I've also got the PV dual clock chorus that I did a demo on a while back, and DoD programmable distortion, which is complete garbage, and of course, that piece of shit Yamaha distortion that I make fun of all the time. But so as far as like actual vintage pedals, that's probably most of the ones that I own. But as far as like any of the classics, an old 80s TS9, an original TS808, original SD1, stuff. I don't own any of that stuff, unfortunately. So. But at the same time, I'm a player a lot more than I'm a collector. So for me, I mean, why in the hell do I need an original TS808? Those things are selling for $500 and up right now, and there's not only can you buy a reissue nowadays, it sounds just about the same, if awfully close, but God, there are so many Tube Screamers clones on the market. I mean, it's not hard to find that sound. So my opinion.
I have a Tube Screamer. Let me grab it. A clone that I got. That I don't know if it's great.
While you're doing that, while you're doing that, I do want to take a quick second and thank Mr. Alexander Garcia for hitting up the super chat here
Oh,
earlier. That came
thank
in
you, Mr.
just
Garcia.
as that came in just as I had to get up for a second. So, my time limit in this chair is right at about 2 hours, and with all factor in the time that Jim and I spent troubleshooting our live stream here this morning or this afternoon.
Yeah, that.
I was about
Yeah, my
I was
rump
about
is
due.
starting to hurt.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it seems our video froze. It'll come back, folks. Just hang loose.
yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, let's see. I want to catch up. I did answer 70s guitar Serenity
Guitars.
Serenity guitars. Question about how to keep them gold. Yeah, like I told them, that there's really no way to keep a gold guitar gold unless you literally don't use it.
Yeah, even then,
Yeah,
eventually
they turn.
oxidation is going to set in. I mean,
Yep.
I've got, I like gold hardware. I like the way that it fades and it tarnishes and stuff. I think that's part of what gives gold hardware its character. A lot of people hate it. I happen to like it, but you don't buy a guitar with gold hardware expecting it to look that pristine like it did right out of the box for the rest of its days. It ain't gonna happen.
Yep.
It's gonna fade. So it's gonna fade. Just like anything else. You buy a Les Paul, Les Paul Cherry Burst, Cherry Burst Les Paul Standard, and eventually that thing's gonna, the appearance of that finish is going to change at some point.
Yeah, those of you who think that Angus Young's black SG was always black, it wasn't.
Nope.
Ben E, thank you very much.
Yes, Ben E hitting up the super chat as well. Thank you, sir. As he says, I'm late today. Gibson Custom Fund. Woohoo! Thank you again, very very much. You guys have no idea how much that means to me. You guys are actually taking an interest and want to help me buy that guitar. So that really does mean a lot to me. But don't feel bad about being late today at all, because we were too. We didn't go live until we're not even half hour in yet. So
yeah,
it was quite an adventure to figure out how to get me and Jim streaming on my channel live at the same time. So
took a couple of hours, but we're here, and it's relatively stable.
Yeah,
relatively
it's not,
stable.
It's not without its. It could stand some tweaking, but we'll do that another day. So let's see.
John
Taylor says, I have never sold any gear. You know what? I didn't sell anything for the longest time. I was able to say that I still had just about every guitar that I'd ever owned. There was a couple of things that I didn't really like at all to begin with, and that somehow wound up in my hands that I did sell. So you take those out of it, and I kept everything else. Now, as I'm in the middle of overhauling my studio and discovering just how much shit that I have amassed, and trying to build a studio. I mean, I'm probably gonna have to sell the studio monitors that I've had in that room for a long time, because with the new desk and I'm hoping to God the monitor fits that I bought. The 8-inch monitor. I'm talking about the computer monitor. I'm hoping to God that fits. The 8-inch studio monitors I've had in there, I'm probably gonna have to sell because they're gonna be too big. So yeah, but I get it. It's not necessarily hoarding. Honestly, I think there's something to be said for somebody that doesn't sell their gear. I mean, that's the sign of the rare musician that doesn't have to sell his gear to pay for something else. So I commend you for that.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, I went through a pretty dark period, and let's just say that selling gear was the better option of what I was going through. So the fact that I sold pretty much everything, all the guitars you see here, the oldest one is the one I bought back. That's a 2015, and I bought it in like 2017. But these ones behind me, the SG is the oldest one, being a 2019. And then the Les Paul's a 2020. Matter of fact, the the 335 is actually a 2021. I
Wow.
mean, I think it's marked 2020, but it actually left the shop in 2021 or something like that, or very late 2020, like December or
I,
November was when it
I've
was
got a
actually completed.
I've got a few, more inexpensive guitars that I don't really play much anymore. I am thinking about moving. It might be time to move those on, just to, if nothing else, to free up some space. So, but I don't
Oh,
know. I haven't made that decision yet.
I I do have that that 12 string has been with me for a long time.
Is
It's
that an
as old as
ovation?
it looks, folks. That ovation.
Wow.
Yeah, that's an old ovation
Let's.
12 string.
What was it? There was something in the. There it is. Haas Coleman says, Robert, I'm building a cab. What type of speakers would you advise? It really depends on the cab itself, and it depends on what you intend to play through it, I think. If
Yep.
it's, I personally, I like big, oversized cabs because I like that, it's more room for, more, the speakers are able to move more air, and, you get a little bit boomier, thumpier kind of sound out of a cab like that, so I a lot of times I tend to gravitate towards something in the vintage 30 range, though I really like my warehouse guitar speakers veteran 30s, which is their vintage 30 clone. Those things sound excellent. um, but if you're also looking for something a little bit more mid-rangey, a little that might offer a little bit more note definition, great for soloing, greenbacks are, I think, really really good for that. uh, that's probably that's what I would do. So, of
Yeah.
course, there's as many speakers out there as there are guitar players these days. But my
Yeah, if
opinion.
you're a classic rock person like myself, definitely the greenbacks are going to be what you want to be a part of. Um, it's hard to um, it's hard to find a better speaker than that for that kind of thing. And did he say it was 4x12? Did he say it was 4x12?
He didn't. He didn't.
Oh,
Just mention he was
because
building a
and it
speaker
also
cab.
depends on whether you're doing 10-inch speakers or 12-inch speakers, and
Mm,
four, or you're going to do two, or you're going to do one.
right. Yeah. I guess I'm
Most people
assuming.
aren't going to do
Yeah.
three.
Yeah. My advice there is assuming you're either talking 212 or 412. So.
Right. Yep. Let's
Uh.
see. Somebody said I'm a hoarder. I'm a gear hoarder, but it beats. It was John Taylor. It beats hoarding garbage or pets.
Yep.
that's that's a good one.
Also, spending money on gear sure beats spending money on drugs.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
Let's see.
Although I'm an animal lover, Zoe's the only one that we got. She's the only one we're gonna have. But
Yep, I've got Drogon, and that's it.
yep.
He's a little menace, but he's what I've got.
Yeah, he's still a puppy.
Yep, he's a baby.
Tom Mott says I recently traded my Epiphone SG for a roasted maple neck PRSSE custom 24 even up. I think I made a good trade. Your opinion? Epiphone SG for a roasted maple neck PRSSE custom. I think you came out way ahead on that deal.
Yes, you did. Yes,
Yeah,
you did.
yeah. Sport Dog 1000 says I have an Ibanez A&E acoustic electric, but the electronics haven't worked in years. I see passive under bridge piezo's for less than $20 on Amazon and eBay. Ever try one? Any advice on what to try? I mean, even honestly, even like the Martin branded passive piezo under saddle pickups are, they'll get the job done, but that's really about all that they're good for. Same, any of the Gibsons that have passive electronics in them like that. I don't personally care for them. I like active preamps. So, I mean, if you just want something to get it by, for the time being, till you can either buy another guitar, or put more money into the one that you have. It's $20 on Amazon or whatever it is they're going for. Might not be a bad idea. For the time being, and if you end up liking it, great. But I think that you are going to find yourself wanting more out of it at some point. My opinion.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. When I this is an Ibanez A&E electric acoustic. Yeah, definitely don't do the passive thing. It's just not great.
Yep. I love Ibanez guitars, but I hate their acoustics, to be honest.
Yeah,
I just don't care for them. I think they use too much. They don't, a lot of them don't even have solid wood tops. They use a lot of laminate on them.
yep,
They just don't resonate right to me. They play
yep,
okay. They seem to be well made. I mean, God knows I've seen a lot of people that got some old Ibanez acoustics that have been around forever. So it's not a knock on the on the build quality or anything like that. I just don't care for the tone.
yeah, for sure. Let's
Uh,
see.
Go ahead.
Um, yep. Someone was thanking you for the input on a splitter.
Oh yeah, that who was that? Who left that comment? Somebody mentioned
Paul Adamak.
Paul Adamek.
Adamek.
Yeah,
Yep.
he had. I can't. I think it was in a live stream a week or two ago, or maybe it was maybe he left a comment on another video. I don't recall, but he was wanting to use the I think if I recall, he's got two pedal boards and he's wanting to use the effects loop and two different amps. So he's trying to figure out a way to route that cable wise. And there's really not an easy way to do it. Or maybe he was wanting to use the same pedal board and the effects loop with two different amps. Regardless, the Earthquaker Devices Swiss things is the solution for all of those real convoluted signal routing things. Those things are hats off to Earthquaker Devices for that, because they've made a lot. That thing has made a lot of things possible for a lot of people that weren't prior. So, but I think he messaged back later on after I had mentioned that to him and said he had bought it and it was working out for him. So glad to hear that worked, and yeah, man, keep at it.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. JG Mopar and Dave Escobar were talking back and forth, and said that the guitar he had was polar white, creamy yellow now. And he has a Gibson Rudolph Schenker that's cream yellow and black. It was white and black. Yeah.
Yeah, well, both of those guys are usually hang out on the live stream with me here just about every week, and they both got some pretty cool stuff. So
they do. The guy I bought the double cut from had another double cut, and it was originally white, a white top. A white top Gibson Les Paul is rare enough, but to have a white top gold or double cut, super rare.
Nitro finish anyway, not poly. But
right, yeah. Right. That's what I mean, nitro. Exactly. And he showed it to me, and it had yellowed, and I told him straight up, I said, if you sell that guitar, you have my phone number, you know my name, call me, because I want that guitar. I said, do you want to sell it today? And he said to me, he goes, my wife told me you'd want to buy more of my guitars. I go, I do. I want that Epiphone, or I mean that SG. I want your Epiphone, and I want that white top DC. Do you want to sell any or all of them? And he literally, this is the first guy I've ever heard say this. My wife said, you're not selling any more guitars.
Really?
I couldn't believe it. I was like, what?
To be honest, Mrs. Jackson is actually pretty good about that. She doesn't like for me to sell anything that she knows that I really like.
Yeah.
If it's something that she that I don't care about, she's fine at that. But she's believe it or not, she's actually in my corner for me to get that Les Paul custom as much as probably more than anybody. She was my channel's very, very first subscriber. So, yep. I got in a little bit of trouble yesterday though, because I don't know if anybody's planning on watching WrestleMania this weekend like I am, but I didn't realize this until I just found out yesterday. Because WWE's been advertising that this year WrestleMania is streaming exclusively on Peacock, and I'm thinking, oh well, they're probably just trying to rein in some new viewers through a different channel. No big deal. Surely they're still gonna run it on WWE Network like they always do. Well, no. What happened was they actually all but shut down the paid membership to WWE. I looked at my bank account yesterday and saw a partial refund. from WWE Network, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I looked into it, and they moved all of WWE Network in the U.S. anyway over to Peacock. So so I signed up because I told myself I'm not signing up for another goddamn streaming service just to watch WrestleMania. I'm not
And guess what you
doing it.
did?
I'll miss it if I have to. But since they canceled the one that I was originally signed up for, and Peacock TV, by the way, is half the price that the WWE Network was. So
Yeah.
in that instance it made sense.
Yeah.
So I'll be watching WrestleMania on Peacock TV. Yep. There's some cool stuff on there's I want to get back to guitars here in just a second, but there is some cool stuff on there. I mean, they got like 7 or 8 seasons of Pawn Stars, and which is and all kinds of other stuff that I didn't know NBC had access to. So
yeah, that's crazy. I did the same thing when I got CBS All Access. I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna watch all of Lucille Ball.
Yep.
So
makes your investment feel a lot more worth it than you initially thought it might be.
And all the Star Trek. I love Star Trek. Okay, so yeah.
Cecil
so JG Mopar says, well, go ahead.
Cecil Music says Nitro finishes suck. I gotta disagree with that, man. I like Nitro. It's I admit it's not as durable as polyurethane. Polyurethane is PRS uses polyurethane on just about everything because it's you can throw it in a vat of burning gasoline, pull it out, and it'd be just fine.
Right.
Wipe off the soot. Nitro won't do that. But I like the character in Nitro. I like the way that the guitar breathes through it, and the effect that it has on the guitar itself over time. So I'm not. Even
I just want to say I want to say this about Nitro finishes because being a Gibson fan. No, you don't see any Gibson stuff here. Being a Gibson fan, the feeling of Nitro under my skin when I come in contact with it is what I love. I mean, if I buy a Fender, see that Stratocaster up there, that's an Ultra, and so it's got a very satin feeling back of the neck, very thin Nitro finish on the back of the neck.
I like those necks a lot.
Yeah, that neck is probably the nicest Fender neck, and so when it comes to the feel, and again, that's some people like cotton and some people like wool and some people like leather. I mean, I'm not going to tell anybody what they should or shouldn't like. That's for sure. I happen to love Nitro, and it's so smooth, just for me, and I don't know what it is, but I love it. And what they've done, have you played a Slash Les Paul yet?
Which one? God, they come out with a new Slash Les Paul every 2 years.
Well, I was playing a November Burst, and
is that the most recent one? I can't even keep track of them anymore.
I think no, Victoria, which is the orange or the gold top, is the most recent one, which is the one I'm like fighting myself not to get. Because not only because it's a gold top and I love gold tops, but more because of the story behind it and the way it feels. So the story behind it, I don't know if you know, the original Victoria got stolen. It was just a gold top he had, but it got stolen. And you know who stole it? Who was it was an inside job. And you know who was the inside person? Victoria. It was some girl named Victoria that he had. Which I thought was funny story. Yeah,
I remember him posted on Facebook like close to 10 years ago now that he was he posted, said, I'm looking for a gold top Les Paul that I used to own. Then he posted the serial number, said if anybody has any idea where this guitar is, if anybody owns it, I am very, very interested in buying it back from you. So I think that was probably the same one.
Probably. But anyway, the feel of it is incredible. I mean, they did that with this top. That's why I like this Golden Pearl Standard. There's something about the curvature of the top, and so if you're a volume rider or a tone rider like I am, it's got a definitely different feel to it. It's just something you have to feel yourself. If you guys haven't put one of those Slash Les Pauls, then put another Les Paul Standard in your lap and then try that one again and see if you don't feel a difference. Just saying.
Cool. Fried Rutabaga says best noise gate for the money. Anyone's input is appreciated. Noise gates. The old standby Boss NS2 will get the job done. You can pick those up used pretty cheap, $50-$60. What else do I, if you need a plug-in, I know Glenn Fricker just released the plug-in version of the cock blocker, which is that it was like a $250 noise gate or something like that he released last year that was really good actually, but they're not being made anymore. The TC Electronics Sentry is a good one. The Electro Harmonics, what do they call that one? The silencer, I think.
Yep.
Is also pretty good. So, if you really want to spend the money, the ISP Decimator G-String is probably the best one I could think of in pedal form, but they're pricey. They also have the regular Decimator 2 that is, along the same lines, but not nearly as pricey. So that's that's what I do.
I had good luck with the what's the Boss one? The
NS2 noise suppressor. Yeah.
The NS2 is not bad.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It gets the job done. Is it the best one on the market? No, but it gets the job done.
Yeah, it really depends on the amount of gain you're using. If you're using a buttload of gain, you're right. Because what'll happen is, here's the problem with a noise gate, and Robert will probably say the same thing, is if you're like I said, I'm a volume rider and I play with a lot of dynamics. You lose some of those dynamics, and especially your trail, when you're using a lot of noise suppression, because it gets lost into the weeds more, and that's because you've got a higher noise level, right? That's as far as I know. So when you're playing super gainy, sometimes, believe it or not, the best thing to do is to let that hiss be there, because believe it or not, in a mix or especially in a band situation, you're not going to hear that. It's going to be lost. And a good engineer or mix engineer or tech is going to be able to take that out later in post by using a white noise suppressor. So the truth of the matter is, sometimes it's better just to leave it in. That's why 60 cycle hum is all over the place. Just play a Blues Junior like I've got right there behind me for a little while, and you'll hear some 60 cycle hum all day long. But if you can't live with it, then you're not going to like those amps. So yeah, sometimes noise is okay. So that's coming from a person that I have the Spark amp, and every single one of their presets has the noise gate on. And I'm like, I don't want that noise gate on. It's killing my signal. I can't hear anything at the trail. And so the first thing I do is turn it off.
I find myself, like when I'm editing tracks and stuff, I find myself adding in a noise gate more often than I used to, just because there's a fair amount of noise. But but with guitar, I mean, I'm kind of like you. I mean, I've always, for the most part, I've learned to live with it. If it's a point where I'm not playing for a second or a minute or in between songs or something, I usually just click on the tuner, and mute the signal altogether. But
yep, or just roll the volume off.
Yeah, noise gates and the effects loops though actually also are very effective. So and that's another way to calm things down, so to speak. John Taylor says, I like the territory days when regular looking guys would get smashed by the steroid monsters. Like you turn on, WWE Saturday morning, or WWF at that time, Saturday morning, whatever it was, and and say, hey, it's Hulk Hogan against Barry Horowitz, and gee, I wonder who's gonna win. I still watched it though.
They had an open tryout when I was young in Virginia Beach. They had an open tryout for that stuff, and you could go and be a wrestler. Well, let me tell you something about those guys. If you think it's all acting and all bullshit, sorry. Let me tell you,
You can say
it's
bullshit
not.
on my channel.
And people get hurt badly sometimes. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's a tough. And back then, those guys had no insurance. They had no protection whatsoever.
Yeah, they're a lot better cared for now.
And
But
some
yeah.
of them died in poverty and obscurity.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
From that era, especially, you still hear about it all the time today. Yeah.
Yep.
But you're right. They trained for years to be able to, to be able to withstand the punishment that their bodies take doing that. So. I think that's probably one reason why I still love it as much as I do, just because I know how much work has gone into it for all those people. Light Fighter 54 says, "Are today's Indonesian-made Deans as good or comparable to their 2009-2014 Korean models?" Well, Dean's Korean models have always been pretty good. I haven't got my hands on any of their Indonesian-made stuff. But that said, especially if they're coming out of the same factory that builds the Ibanez guitars, I think that I don't know if it's that factory or a different factory that the Chapmans are coming out of right now. But the short of it is Indonesia have learned how to build guitars. And they've learned how to build them very, very well. I don't think that they're ever going to be vintage, collector's items or anything. Just like Korea's not, just like China's not, just like Mexico's not. Somehow Japan became collectible, and I don't know how, but although the quality of those guitars is higher than those others, but I don't, in my experience, those Indonesian factories built some pretty nice guitars. I've got my Ibanez Zyphos that you guys have seen on the channel a number of times. You guys always comment on that guitar whenever I bring it out. That's an Indonesian-made guitar, and that thing's honestly as nice as any of their, any of their Prestige series stuff that I've ever played. And I've played a fair amount of Ibanez Prestige guitars. Both of my Chapmans are Indonesian, are built very, very well. So
yeah, that first factory of theirs was not very good.
No. Well, yeah, and I think that was in China, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
not to say that you can't get a good Chinese guitar. It's just that first factory was not. Whoever they were using was not very good for them.
Yep. And hats off Chapman for making the change. As they were listening to their customers. There was a lot of people that were unhappy with the quality of the guitars they were receiving. That's why they moved it to move their production to Indonesia. So, and on that note, if you're interested in buying a Chapman, make sure it has V2 in the description.
Yes,
those are the ones that came from Indonesia. Those are the ones you want.
Yeah. Don't even bother, even on the used market. Don't even bother looking at the originals. They're hit and miss. It's not to say there's no good ones.
Yep. My understanding, I've not gotten my hands on too many of the older ones, but.
Well, we were talking with some of the dealers that worked with them at that time, because Guitar Center wasn't a dealer of theirs back then. They were shipping some real trash. And again, hats off to Rob Chapman for stepping up and going, you know what? That's not, my name is on there. We're going to make these good guitars. And he's coming out with a new Ghost Fret, by the way.
I saw that. I saw that.
Yep.
I haven't, I think, I think I saw him announce it on, I think it was a video title or something. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but.
Neither.
I would like one of those. I like those Ghost Frets. I think those things are sharp.
Yeah.
Jeff Seven says used to work at MSA in Indy. Hey, MSA stands for Madison Square Garden. That was our big arena here in Indianapolis for a long time. So late 80s when WrestleMania came through, backstage was always a hoot. WrestleMania, I don't think WrestleMania was never at MSA. WWE's been at MSA many times, but WrestleMania was never there. But they were at what was then known as the Hoosier Dome. They did WrestleMania 7 at the Hoosier Dome. So, but I can only imagine what it would have been like backstage at a WWE show of any time, especially back in that era.
Yeah, there might have been a little cocaine, a little bit of, especially in the 80s.
I'm sure there's quite a bit of, especially in the 80s.
Hey.
Cecil
I'm
Music
just
says,
remembering all those wrestlers back then.
yeah, I'm such a diehard fan, and a lot of them still make appearances. The ones that are still alive anyway still make appearances every now and then, and
Oh, yeah.
so WWE isn't good, especially the ones that are on good terms with the company, they'll bring them back for appearances every now and then. So,
Yep.
which is fun for guys my age. Cecil Music says the only noise gate you need is your volume knob. Something to be said for that. I've also known to dump my volume knob in between songs when I'm playing gigs or band practice, like a lot of people do.
Yeah, don't be. Can I step in for just a second?
Please.
Don't be that person that doesn't touch their volume knob in between songs. Then you're trying to talk to each other, and the guitar's going hum hum, and then you can hear the strings as your arm swishes over them, and it sounds like you're strumming a random nothing chord. Um, I'm just saying that's always it's like, don't you notice that you're singing? It's like you're farting, and you just keep farting, and you don't even notice. You're just stinking up the room.
Yep. Don't be that guy.
Exactly. Don't be that guy.
Let's see, where was I? William Cooper says, I was just about to ask if that was a Blues Deluxe reissue back there. I don't have any amps in my background, so that question is directed at you, Jim. And I'm thinking I was probably talking about your Tweed Blues Junior, but
yep, that's a Blue Junior Tweed, and below that is a twin reverb. And out of frame is actually on is my Marshall DSL 40CR, which is right
I
there.
like those. Man, I like the current run, the current series Marshall. Oh, you got the white Tolex too. I forgot about that.
Yep, I got the white Tolex. Yep.
Those current
Whoops,
Marshall DSL amps, man, those things are killer. Those things are great. Awesome sounding amps. Let's see. Use gate. Let me see. You guys are talking amongst yourselves. John Taylor says, my friend has a Korean BC Rich that has doubled in value within 10 years. I can see that because BC Rich fanatics, especially, and I am one of these guys, so I know. But the older, now it's older, but stuff made like the early mid 2000s, even late 2000s, even early 2010s, that was made in Korea. A lot of that production moved to China or was discontinued altogether when Praxis took over management of the BC Rich import line. And without getting too far into that, but the Praxis management over BC Rich was a disaster. And so I think that's part of what drove up the value of some of the older Korean-made BC Rich guitars. So, and I get it; those are really, really well-made guitars. I own several. I don't think any of my BC Riches are China. Actually, maybe my acrylic might be. Maybe, I don't remember. Hell, that one, I have to look. But most of my BC Rich guitars are made in Korea, and if you followed my channel for a while, you know how much I love BC Rich and how much I love my BC Rich guitars. So,
yep.
But yeah, but the same things happen. I noticed the same thing happening with Korean-made instruments that happened to Japanese-made instruments. Japanese used to be the affordable alternative to American-made, right?
Yep.
And all of a sudden, now we're paying $2,000-$2,500 for Japanese-made guitars. Part of that's due to inflation. Part of that is due to honestly, I think craftsmanship just improving.
That's what I was going to say. Improved craftsmanship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, when I was a kid, so when I was growing up, I was little in the '60s, right? So my quote unquote childhood kind of went from '60s to '70s. And, my '80s were my teens and '20s, or late teens, I should say, and '20s. So when I was growing up in the '60s into the '70s, everybody made fun of stuff that came from Japan. It was, it was, oh, that if something broke, oh, that must be made in Japan. It was just a
Mm-hmm.
joke. I mean, it was on TV, it was on everything in your pop culture. Um, Japanese
Well, and
cars tended to break down, Japanese motorcycles tended to be that, and then all of a sudden, it just like a switch though. It was instantaneous. Japanese stuff was incredible, and then all of a sudden you had what are the guitars? Honors,
mm-hmm.
and Ibanez made killer Gibson copies that were so good Gibson shut them down.
Well, yeah, and there was a lot of they weren't alone either. I think Ibanez may have been among the first, but let's not
Yeah,
forget, Greco, my favorite,
Greco.
one of my, Bernie's, which are some of my favorite Japanese, Gibson. I hate to use the word clones, but that's what they were. Um, so Greco, Bernie, Tokai, all made excellent instruments, and God, I mean, there's several others. Aria, um, you know,
Yeah, Aria. The old Aria Pros, incredible.
yep.
Um,
If you can find them, that's the thing, man. Nowadays, you move forward about a decade, and Jackson Charvel are making killer guitars, out of Japan. Fender's making killer guitars coming out of Japan. I think wasn't the Gibson Orville line? Wasn't that Japanese?
yeah, but they actually were licensed. So what happened with the Orville line? Yeah, they were supposed to be a Japan only,
Mm-hmm.
so that they could be Gibson branded, but released in Japan,
So it's for the
and so they
Japanese
didn't have to.
market.
Right. And so they weren't built in the USA, and they weren't built for, in other words, they were like Epiphone in that they were licensed overseas, but they were only to be sold in the Japanese market and the Asian markets. If you can get your hands on Orville, folks, that those
Good
were
luck,
stellar.
but yeah, they're
Yeah.
great guitar. I think I've seen maybe two in my lifetime. Or at least in the last 20 years. So, they're just really hard to find. But all that
Yep.
stuff, by the late 80s, early 90s, you know, people had discovered that these things are just as well made as the more expensive stuff. And now you try to track them down on the used market and you can't find them.
No.
So,
There's a made in Japan Greco Les Paul custom in white locally. That
really,
I've got in my save group. I'll send it to you so you can look at it and say, well, here's what you should ask, because he's only got one picture of it sitting in a chair, and I'm like,
hmm.
it's interesting. It's interesting, but yeah, if you guys can find those, they're great guitars.
Fun fact: James Hetfield's original original Explorer, in the early
Yeah.
Metallica days, his original Explorer was a Greco with a bolt-on neck.
Yep. Yep. Um, uh, the famous quote unquote Gibson Explorer in 38 specials, Hold On You, Caught Up, or Hold On Loosely, Caught Up in You, all that. That's a fake. That was one that they took the real one that the guy from Leonard Skinner had. I think it was Ed King. Um, Loaned it to Jeff Carlisi from 38 Special, and he took it to a guy who stenciled it out, literally drew it on a piece of paper. And of course, Carlisi, I don't know if you know this about him, but he's an architect. He went to architect school, got a degree in architecture. He just couldn't find a job, so he used his drafting skills. And the other guy did, and they drafted out a copy back then
Hmm.
of a real Explorer, then made a copy. So his is all weight relieved and super light and easy to play and everything else. But the other part of it is everything on the records. And this is the thing that you've got to remember. Everything you see in these things, the records don't always reflect what was shown in videos or even live.
Right.
And everything he did in the recordings was just this old 50s Les Paul Gold Top that he had that he was using. So
Hmm.
that's that's like David Gilmour. Everybody thinks that all of his solos were on a
Black Strat.
Stratocaster, on the old black Strat. They weren't. Another Brick in the Wall Part 2 is on a Les Paul Gold Top, and there was a guitar that had some weird name because he needed 24 frets to reach a certain note, uncomfortably numb. Um, and he didn't want it to fret out, and he needed to be in tune, and this is the only guitar that could do that. And So there's a lot of really cool stuff if you look at it. So it's always about when you get your guitar, it's always about, do you love that guitar? If you do, that's the one for you. That's the
Yeah.
one you should
Well,
get. That's the one you
yeah,
should use.
Jimmy Page. Of course, he's obviously most synonymous with the with the Les Paul. The Burst Les Paul. His was in particular was a '59, and
Yeah.
but he played the solo in Stairway to Heaven on a telly. And,
Yeah.
he of course he used a Dan Electro guitar on a few things here and there. I don't know what he used it on, but but he was known for using a Dan Electro. He had a Les Paul Custom that he used a lot. So yeah, I mean all none of those guys use one guitar for everything, even if it's the one that they're most well known for.
Exactly.
So
At Fry Brudabega said, doesn't care where a guitar is made, good is good. And that's exactly right. I just
agreed.
wanted to hit that one real fast. Agreed.
I agree.
So where are we now? Something about
Let's see. Where are we?
great combos.
Marco Caracciolo. I hope I know I've asked you if I pronounced that right before or not, and I've forgotten. I apologize. I think I got it right, but I could be wrong. If I didn't, I apologize. But anyway, it says I do have the Jackson Adrian Smith made in Indonesia. It's amazing, and that is a great guitar. I remember selling
Yes,
those
it
when they were
is.
new. Those things were only like brand new. Those things were only like $4.99. They're like $500, and it was that was a for $500. That guitar was tough to beat. When they were, I don't know, they might still be making them, but I remember when they first came out like 8 years ago, 9 years ago, something like that. I sold several of
Yep.
them, and they're great guitars. I couldn't believe how much guitar you were getting for $500.
Yep. John
Uh,
Taylor says it's a great time to be a beginner. It is because it's just Robert just mentioned the guitars you can buy for $500 or less are just stellar pieces. You get so much more because somebody's already gone through the 50 years of trial and error and making it work. And so now, not to say that not to for anybody to take this negatively, it's actually a positive thing. Um, now these companies can ride on those coattails, and it's amazing. It's just amazing what they can show and accomplish. I wish I was a teenager now so that I could do some of the things. My sons get such good gear, and not just because I have a little money to spend on them, but because what I can buy for $500.
mhm.
I,
Well, and the other thing with that is, the big companies like, Fender in particular, have recognized that, if we want to survive, we need to start putting more effort into the people who are buying our guitars for their very first guitar. So nowadays, I mean, the reputation that Squire earned for themselves through the '90s, was crap. You couldn't, Squires don't. If you're, even a remotely serious guitar player, don't even bother looking at that brand because they were garbage, and they were.
right?
But
Yep.
now, they're putting a lot of effort into making sure that those guitars are set up and ready to go right out of the box, and ready to play. Um, a lot more so than they used to. Again, because they want to have a really, really good impression on that young player as their first guitar, and they want them to go back and buy Fender for their second guitar. A few
Sure.
years down the road. And you see Epiphone. Gibson starting to follow suit with the Epiphone line. Um, among others. There's Martin's now got guitars that you can buy for $500.
Oh,
Um,
I know. And they're great.
yeah, Taylor found a gold mine with their Taylor Mini series. There's one of those 3/4 7/8. I think they're 7/8 size
Yep.
guitars. Which are perfect for for small kids. And God, they play fantastic. They play and sound just as
I
nice as
know.
expensive ones, man.
I,
Um,
you know, I picked up a mini Koa. It was the Koa wood one.
I was just talking to another
Have you
customer
played
about
that?
about that guitar yesterday. Yeah, they're
I'll tell you,
phenomenal.
you can't go wrong. Oh,
Well, a Koa,
if you
they've got one for $1,000. They've got another one for $800. And how you're gonna
eight
find
hundred bucks.
the $800 one? Yeah, where are you gonna find a Koa guitar for $800?
I know.
Koa grows in one place in the world, and Taylor does happen to have a lot of control over that orchard, but or that whatever they call it. What do you call a big field of trees that you're
It's a tree
harvesting?
farm.
Tree
Yeah.
farm. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, Taylor, I think they own that one,
Yeah.
or at least a couple of them in Hawaii. But regardless, Hawaii is not a very big place for all the koa in the world to come from. So
Yep. Yeah. And that guitar, that $800 model,
$800.
I just played one the other day, and for $800, a Koa guitar, holy smokes! And the sound you get from it, folks. First thing you do, you look at it and you go, "Oh, that's too little to make a big sound." I was guilty of that myself, and then
Mm.
I picked it up and I played it, and I went, "Holy, this thing is played so nice! It's just awesome." You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. I love Taylor guitars, man. They do that well. Let's see in the chat, Jack Birds let's do the crate combos. I think they were called the Club. They had the shellac cover. Any good? Can they be found? The crate, Jim, you might remember these, but the crate Club series.
Yep.
Those are great. Those are great amps, man. Those are all tube. If you're not aware, and they're really, honestly, they're kind of in the same tone wise. They're kind of in the same ballpark as the Fender Hot Rods, the PV Classics. I think they sound better. I think they sound better than the Hot Rods. They don't sound better than the Classics, though. The Classics are pretty kick-ass amps, but they do sound better than the Hot Rods, and you can probably find them for, God, especially the combos.
There is
you can
one
find them for
on
$250
sale.
easy.
Yeah, there's one on sale in my town right now, $175, 2x12.
212 vintage Club series.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
$175.
$175. I have been, and it looks like the guy just like keeps it pristine.
Wow.
It's beautiful.
Go buy
It's a
it.
beautiful amp. I know. I just bought this. I have a few things on my watch list.
Yeah.
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 I'm terrible at that because every time I find something else. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, the crate, they call it the Vintage Club series. Some people call it the V series. It's changed names a few times, but yeah, buy if buy with confidence. So
yep.
And on that note, if you happen to run across a Stealth from the same area, especially if you buy it cheap, definitely grab that. And that's a lot of people don't know about the Crate Stealth. The Crate Stealth was designed by Lee Jackson, so that is the metal guys in particular are really hot after that amp right now. I saw a combo pop up recently, but I didn't want the combo. If I saw a head pop up, I may have to buy it. Just
according to
cool. I don't need any more crate amps, but
yeah, I am seriously thinking about this one. But do I need another 2x12? I'd have to sell this Tone Master to get that. Anyway, Charles75N said, had a chance to buy an Aria Pro 3 years ago for $70. Oh God. Just waited too long to pull through. Can I say something about the used market right now? Here's what I want to say.
I know what you're going to say, but go ahead.
All right. If it's a rare occurrence right now in today's market, like today, to find something used that if you find it on Reverb, that with shipping doesn't cost you as much or a little more actually than a new item. So I would contact my reps, whether it's a Guitar Center rep or a Sweetwater rep or whatever, wherever you buy. I would find that person and say, how much can I get? Because you might be able to get there. And even if you're within a few dollars, at least you're getting a warranty of some kind, or a return policy. Here's the other thing that I want to say about the used market right now. If you can find a deal and you like that deal, don't pass it up. I will not kid you when I say I saw this guitar in the afternoon. It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I drove home, and my co-host said, "Go buy it. Go back and buy it. Don't wait, because if that's your guitar, you're going to want it." Long story short, I validated. Oh, Zoe, I validated it. I went back and got it, and it's a good thing I did, because someone came in while I was there, and while I was, I walked over, and my Guitar Center guy took the guitar out. He already had the case sitting on the thing, because I had called him. I said, "I'm on my way. Take it off the wall. I'm coming right now." And believe it or not, when I got there, somebody was asking for it when I walked in. Stuff is not staying. So if you find something that you like and the value is there and you want it, do not wait. There's a story I have to tell with Robert that just happened recently. A friend of mine wanted a special edition bass. I will not kid you. Now, you would think a company like Guitar Center, which, by the way, this was a Guitar Center exclusive Mustang bass. Okay,
you just broke my anonymity, Jim.
Yeah, and I said to him, I said, "What was that?"
I said, "You just broke my anonymity. Go ahead."
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I called. Well, I let's just say that not everybody can do this. Okay, let's just say it that way. All right. So I called my friend. I said, "Don't wait. If you want this, get it now." Because he messaged me. He goes, "I got a chance to get this. Should I?" I said, "You don't have it yet?" I said, "Do it now." When we closed the deal, what was there, 2 left in the whole company?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was 2. I think we're down to 2.
That's right. And we had to source it from a store. And you said, "Well, this store is probably..." So it's not something you should wait on, guys. It's something that if you're seeing gear that you like and is a good deal, and it's got the value to you, don't wait to pull the trigger. Pull the trigger. Get it. That's all I'm saying.
Agreed. And I tell customers all the time that they're, "Hey, I'm looking at this used, et cetera, et cetera." If it's a good deal, I tell them to buy it. But a lot of times, I can say, not bad, but why don't we see what we can get you a new one for, and then it's not going to be that price, but it might be close. That it might be might make more sense to you to do that.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's a lot more common than it used to be. It used to be new gear prices could never touch used gear ever.
Nope.
So,
that's absolutely right. And the truth of the matter is that I paid as much for this as I would have a new one, this Les Paul. But you weren't going to get a Purloined guitar that you owned before for that.
Right? Yeah, that's a one-off. So,
yeah.
Let me put her down. She's not comfortable up here.
Okay.
Come here, babe. Come here, little girl.
Poor thing. There you go. That's what Drogon likes to do. He likes to get up on my shoulder.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She'll sit up here all day long.
Yeah.
For as long as she loves being held. She loves being held. She is absolutely a lap dog. One of us sits on the couch and she's usually on us, or at least right next to one of us. So, she's she's an attention whore, no question. But that's okay. That's why we love her. So
that's right.
Let's see. Ben E says Orvilles have gone so high price wise right now. I haven't even seen one for sale, and I don't remember last time I saw one for sale. To be honest, what are they? What are they bringing now?
Jeez, I'm looking one up right now. Because the last time I looked, there's one. That's not too bad. There's an Orville Les Paul Standard 90s amber photo flame. Oh, photo flame. I don't know if I'd get that one.
Where are you looking?
Reverb. I'm not a photo flame fan, just because. But this Les Paul Custom, this one's not bad. Here's a wine red Orville Les Paul Custom, $2,400. That's not bad.
The last Orville I saw was it was a, I think it was a special Les Paul. I think it was a double cut special, and I think it was going. Oh man, what did we sell that thing for? $800, $799. I want to say something like that. You know, and that was 2010, probably. Man, and now they're bringing. You said $2,400. I know it's a different model, but wow. Yep, the world has discovered Orville. I better hang on to my Aria Pro 2 XL, man. It's only a matter of time before people start discovering that brand, you know, and driving the prices up those. So.
Oh yeah. Now somebody's got me looking at this 1992 Orville Gibson Les Paul standard Koa with a quadruple flame top. You bastards! You bastards! All right, let's click away from there. What do we got for other questions?
Let's have a look-see here. I'm reading the comments. Joe Trey says a lot of USA-made only guitar snobs out there. You're not lying about that. There are a lot of people that won't buy it. That, you know, just because, you know, they won't buy it if it's not made in the U.S. You know, some people are like that because they're fucking politics, which is, I think, is whatever, dude.
Moronic.
You know, some people are like that just because they're convinced that that's the best quality guitar that they could buy. You know, and that I can get on board with, but you know, if you think that I can understand why you would think that. I guess is what I'm saying, even though I don't agree with it. You know, certainly as we just talked about earlier, I mean, there's plenty of instances out there that, you know, you don't have to spend $3,000 on a guitar.
No.
You know, to get a nice guitar, you don't have to spend anywhere near that.
No, you could take, like, right now. I've got a Paul Reed Smith SE. It's kind of right there. And the only thing I took the original tuners off it. I wasn't crazy about the tuners. I took the tuners off, but I put SE locking tuners on it, which is great. And then I'm looking at putting some Duncan Antiquities in it. And so that guitar came to me for about $800, and I'm going to put another $100 for the tuners, and then $270 for the thing. So for $1,300 or so, I'm going to have a pretty decent guitar. Now, of course, it will always be, and this is the thing to remember, folks, when it comes to resale. Some people, when it comes to resale, that's the reason that they're USA-made guitar-only people. And it makes sense if you're looking at resale, because resale, unfortunately, I don't care what anybody, you can jump up and down all day long, but resale, at least until relatively recently, has always been about having a guitar that you could sell aftermarket no matter what you did to it. Mm-hmm. And you know, let's face it, Gibson and Fender were the kings of, they were the king and the queen, you know, of resale. Now, especially the USA models. Now you take a PRS SE, it will always be a PRS SE. No matter what I put into it, it's always going to PRS SE. That's it. And so if I try to resell it, somebody's going to try to offer me $600 because it's PRS SE. They don't care that I put Antiquities in it. They don't care that I put locking tuners on it. They're going to want a PRS SE price. So guess what sits in a bag if I decide to sell that thing? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and that's really a smart way to do that, is to put the parts aside. Now, I'm the one sitting here while Robert is saying, blah, blah, USA made guitars. I have two guitars that aren't USA made. The bass over there is Japanese made. That's a That's a Fender Aerodyne. And then I've got my Indonesian Paul Reed Smith. And that's really where it ends. All my other guitars are American.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a mix of a lot. I mean, I've got American-made guitars, I've got Japanese guitars, I've got, I probably got, I'm sure I got something made in Mexico somewhere, Indonesia, China, Korea.
Yeah.
I've got guitars made from all over the world. I got one on the way right now, made in Germany. That is, I'm looking forward to checking out because it's supposed to be really, really cool. But I've got guitars made from all over the world. I could care less about the made in stamp.
Right.
I care about how it plays, how it sounds, how it performs. So, that's
yeah.
So, not saying there's anything wrong with those people that don't even have any interest if it doesn't say "Made in the USA" on it. By all means. But the vast majority of people out there don't have that luxury because you're also getting into a lot more money.
That's absolutely right.
JG Mopar says, I tried a USA Misha Mansour, Jackson Misha Mansour, and imported the same and prefer the import. Felt and played better. Huge price difference. You're right about that. I mean, the Mishas are the imports are I think they got like a $500 model, and I think they got like I think it's like an $1,100 or $1,200 model, and then the USA's, the American made models like at least $3,000. But yeah, I've not played the USA one, but I have played the imports, and I agree they're pretty nice guitars.
Yep.
Let's see. Marco Caracciolo says a great luthier here in Brazil said that he and many others just became luthiers because the guitars they can the guitars they can afford when they were young were unplayable. Jim, you and I will know something about that because the guitars that especially my first guitar, and I still have it, but I hang it on the wall mostly just for nostalgia reasons. But if I'm being honest with you, that thing plays like shit.
I literally burned my first guitar. So those of you who are interested in a story, well, it was actually my second guitar, I guess. My first guitar, I don't know what happened to it. I think it got smashed by my brothers or something. But my first electric guitar was one of those Sears Silvertones. Okay, it was right out of the Sears. It's everything that all the hipsters want to buy. It's a Silvertone, the same exact one that Jack White was playing, and the amplifier was built into the case. So those who know those guitars know that that's also a very, you had the one with the amp built in the case. Yeah, and I got shortwave radio after 11 p.m.
Yeah.
If I left the guitar sitting on its stand in the room, or just laying on a bed, actually back then. So what happened was I spent 2 years saving up for a Les Paul Custom, which is what you're doing. I mean, that's why I'm trying to help you out, because I know I've been right where you are, literally right where you are. Spending time and knowing that I wanted to save up so I could get the right one. And back then it was $1,000, which might as well have been $1 million to a kid like me with no money. Yeah. We were dirt poor. And I got that Silvertone for $10. $10. Just to let you know, guys, sometimes you should hold on to your garbage. So whoever said that they don't hoard garbage, you might want to go out there to the trash can and just pull it. No,
I remember selling one of those Silvertone guitars with the amp case at the store. The amp, the ones with the amp cases always brought the most. But those things we bought in and sold a lot of them. Those things always seemed to sell for like $650 every single time. Yeah. And
I sold it
in decent condition, not museum piece condition.
Yep. Well, when I got my Les Paul Custom, I decided to reenact Jimi Hendrix's night at the Monterey Pop Festival and burn it. So I took it out back and put lighter fluid all over it. Then I did the thing with my fingers. I was like, that thing was burning. So yeah, I know what can happen. You know, when I went in the Navy, what's funny is went in the Navy, my mother sold my Les Paul Custom and sent me the money. She said, "I did you a favor. I sold your guitar, so you don't have to move around with it." Mom, you might want to ask me first.
What?
Yeah, 1979 Les Paul Custom, folks.
I was giving my
Yeah,
mom a hard time the other day. You know, I was teasing her, of course, but you know, I was
yeah.
giving her a hard time the other day when she didn't sell anything. She just threw out all my original series Star Wars toys, my Transformers from the '80s. You know, all that's all the toys that I had, you know, from the '80s would be worth a freaking mint right now.
Yep. I had all these old 70s toys. I had I guess they're called Migos or something, the old Batman, the Superman, all those things. I had all my toys. I had my Stretch Armstrong. Um, and another funny thing, and I had the original. Remember when Star Wars first came out? I had original Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
We got to think somebody just gave us $5 or gave you $5 in the super
Matt
chat.
Jones the Dead in the super chats. Still hope we get another sketch video about quarantine life for guitar players. He's I, I went back and watched that video not too long ago, and it wasn't as good as I thought it was at the time. But some of you seem to enjoy it. But there's a few things I would have liked to have gone back and have done again. But I've got a few other ideas to to add to that video series at some point. But it's it's honestly, believe it or not, it's actually a lot of work. Shooting one of those videos. So it's kind of a matter of finding the time to go do it, and because it's one idea in particular involves me, actually packing up and going on location somewhere. So, but one of these days I'll do it. One of these days I'll do. Maybe Jim, maybe on your next trip to Indianapolis, we'll knock that one out together or something. So,
Yeah, yeah. I'll have to get David to come down and we'll meet up and
yeah, it's only a couple hour drive for him. So yeah,
yeah, it's a lot shorter drive for him.
right.
I'll probably fly. Um, yeah, so we got let's see. Jeff Seven says my Crate V32 still my go-to for small gigs. Yeah, I can imagine it would be.
I know a lot of
Yeah.
people are still beating up those amps, man, because it
Yep.
couldn't kill them.
Oh, I love that somebody said a forest. You're kind of right. It was a forest
Yeah.
for the Koa.
Yeah. Yep. I'm talking. I didn't call it a forest though, because the tree farm is more of a controlled
Yeah,
forest, so
yeah,
meant for designed specifically for harvesting wood.
yeah. Because I don't think you can call it a orchard because an orchard would be more like a fruit thing and whatever.
Yeah.
But
Oh well, who cares? It's,
yep.
Taylor
Is what it is.
controls a lot of the koa in Hawaii.
It's exactly right.
Charles 75N says dogs are great judges of character. They are. Zoe has her moments. She took to me right away. She generally likes women better than she prefers women. She likes women. And when men come to the house, it's kind of she doesn't like tall men. She's scared to death of tall men. So if I'm 5'9", if somebody's 6 foot or so, we're probably in good shape. But start getting up 6'2", 6'3", 6'5", then she starts barking and cowering behind me, and that's something's going on here. Shouldn't be going on here. Who the hell is this? Why is he so damn big?
Yep.
So she's scared of tall men. My dad's one of those people. But she usually warms up after a little bit. So for the most part, she's pretty good judge. She is a pretty good judge of character, and I agree. I think most dogs, I think they just know, who's their friend.
Drogon is afraid of everything that he's never seen before.
No, is that right?
Even I'll buy him a dog toy and I'll show it to him and he'll bark at it.
I'll
grab him. I'll grab him before we end.
Mm-hmm. See, Terry Himes says the old USA made PVT series guitars are an example. Great guitars being rediscovered now. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I call them the old PV boat paddles,
Yep.
but because that's kind of what they look like. But but the truth is, those are good guitars, man. They're
Yeah.
really well made, and I mean, they fit the look of them. That natural look that they all had was right in line with everything else that was coming out in that time frame.
Yep.
Uh, so,
Yeah. The
but you're right.
T60,
T4,
right?
T30, T40,
T40.
T60. I can't remember. One of them was a bass. A couple of them were. They had guitars and
Yep.
basses. I can't remember which ones were which.
I think the
But
T40 was a bass, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
you might be. I'm not sure that you are. I think you might be right about that. But
Yeah.
regardless, there was a whole line of them, and the Indianapolis Guitar Show is actually going on right now. I'm not. I decided I'm going to stay home this year just because I haven't been vaccinated yet, and
Yeah.
I don't get vaccinated until the 27th of this month. So, and that's a lot of people in one place, and it's just as much as I want to go, I think it's just the smart thing to do for me to stay home. But when I
Yeah.
was there 2 years ago, I remember somebody had one of the nicest PVT series. I think it was a 60. I think it was a T60. Somebody had
Yep.
one of the nicest T60s I've ever seen, and that thing was phenomenal. If I wasn't in the market for something else and trying to, I had another agenda at that particular guitar show that I was trying to accomplish that didn't involve a PVT series guitar. But if I didn't, I possible I would have snagged it because it's only like $300 too. Man, it wasn't that much.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're still a good deal if you can get them, folks. There's one on sale local here. I just
Mm-hmm.
checked. The T40 is a bass, by the way.
Yep, I
So
think you're. Yep, I kind of figured it was. Seen a lot of those
kind of makes
too.
sense. Oh yeah, and they're still good bases. I mean,
Yep,
it's so easy to take care of because, like you said, they're just a boat paddle.
mm-hmm. Yep. Neck through boat paddles. And they were built right.
The hee haw
Oh,
guitars. That's pretty funny.
right.
Uh,
Let's see here. John Taylor says my first guitar was a 1960 Gibson L4 for $460.
wow.
I bet you that guitar isn't selling for $460 now.
Nope. Nope. A little bit more.
Let's see. Mm,
Have
JD
to
One
love our
Cars.
moms.
Yep, I saw that. I saw that. I was getting ready to read his next comment. It says quarantine guitar stuff. I was able to write a lot of songs for my cat's band. People probably think.
That is funny. Yeah, we have to love our moms. What I was saying was my mother gave away all of my record albums when I went into the Navy. Ah, you won't be needing these. So yeah, I had all these original Beatles and you know all my Kiss, my Pink Floyd, um, all this stuff that I got from overseas, the original ACDC stuff that I'd gotten from friends that I knew from overseas.
Wow.
All gone into the ether. Some hipsters listening to them right now, or some rapper turned them into something in the 80s. Who
Right.
knows? I just know that
Turn them into
they're no
control
longer
vinyl
with
or
me.
something.
Yep, yep.
Kobiath says, Robert, are you familiar with Tech 21 Sanzam DI pedals? Absolutely. They're especially for bass. I don't know. It used to be that that I would say that there was not nobody does bass DIs better than Sanzam, but then the dark glass stuff started coming out, and I mean dark glass is something making pretty much the best bass pedals out there. But aside from the dark glass, because that's like those are
Right.
like that's expensive, pricey shit anyway. Yeah, Sanzamp is pretty awesome. I actually want to get an RBI preamp, rack mount preamp for bass out here. One of these days. Not a priority, so I haven't done it. But yeah, Sanzamp are great bass DIs.
Yep.
Rack mount, pedal form, whatever, what have you. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's what I'll be using in the band I'm playing bass in. Um, Play bass and sing lead, and yeah, I'll be using a bass Sans MDI straight into the board from there. And if I had an active bass, I'd just go to the board, but I don't have an active bass. It's a passive bass.
I still do it even with an active bass.
Yeah, it's still a good idea. Anybody that goes straight into the board without, unless you're like recording, because they can reamp that stuff, and that's why you can record
Right.
direct to. Um,
Let's see.
and they're
Does
talking about Hee Haw
anyone
using the PVs. Did you watch Hee Haw when you were a kid?
a little bit? It was
Yeah,
still on for well, again, went off the air in the early '80s, I think. And that's about when. I remember watching it as a little bit as a kid. It wasn't my favorite. Um, it was. Yeah, it was. I remember it being on about the same time as was it Buck Rogers. I loved Buck Rogers.
yep,
I was real big into Buck Rogers, and then later, then he did the Fall Guy after that. I loved that show.
yep,
Um,
yep.
you know, then where else were we watching? Then the Miami Vice and Hardcastle and McCormick, and
Oh yeah,
none of those things are kids shows, but Airwolf, all that stuff, MacGyver, because that was all the stuff that my parents were watching it and they loved it, so we'd sit there watching it in the living room with them, and I got into all of it.
I was in the Navy when they all these
Yeah,
shows are talking. But yeah,
Incredible
I
Hulk,
love that stuff. Yep. Oh yeah,
Incredible Hulk,
Incredible
with
Hulk was great.
Lou Ferrigno.
Lou Ferrigno.
Yep.
Yep.
His son Lou Ferrigno Jr. is on SWAT now, one of my favorite, one of my
Yeah,
current favorite TV shows.
I love that show. That's
I
one of
do
the
too.
few shows that they've brought back that actually is good.
I don't know. I like a lot of the reboots that they've done. The MacGyver reboot is, I watch it. It's not my favorite, but I watch it. It's okay. Magnum PI is, I enjoy that.
That was fun.
Hawaii Five O is
Hawaii
real.
Five O.
Hawaii Five O was great. I was crushed when they took that one off. But
Yeah.
Alex O'Loughlin, I think that role was pretty physically demanding, and as he got, I know he had to have a back surgery later, towards
Yeah.
in the last few seasons, and I think that's the reason why they had to end it, because he just couldn't.
Is he the
You know,
one that played the
played
Navy
McGarrett.
guy?
He played McGarrett.
Yeah, McGarrett.
Yeah, he was the main
Yep.
character.
Yep. Yeah, I'm old enough to have watched both, and I got to be honest with you, the new one was actually better in a lot of
Yeah.
ways than the old one.
Yeah,
A lot better.
they did. It ran for like 10 seasons, so they did something
Yeah.
right. It was on for a long time.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I was bummed when they ended it. So,
Yep.
but there's a few, like the supporting cast characters and stuff have now carried over to Magnum PI and stuff. So it's I still get to see a
Yeah.
little bit of it here and there, which is cool.
Yeah, I like the new Magnum PI. I have to laugh. He goes, Magnum PI is stealing old people's houses now. He's talking about the actor, not the character. He's got to pay the bills, guys. Come on, it's
Yep.
his thing. Well, before we knock off, let me grab Drogon so he can say hi.
Yeah,
Hold
let's
on.
do that. You do that. I'm going to answer Paul Adamek's question real quick. He says, "Does anyone remember Zemeta guitars? Ron Wood used to play one." When I glanced at your comment a minute ago when you said Zemeta guitars, at first I was thinking you may have you might have been referring to Zemetis guitars, which are still around. Zemeta guitars, I don't recall. That's one I've never heard of. We'll have to wait until Jim gets back to see. He might remember, but Cecil Music says Aaron Gray made Buck Rogers worth watching. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Same thing with Silver Spoons. That was Silver Spoons was my favorite sitcom back then. There he is.
Can I get you to turn around?
There he is. Oh, he's getting big.
Yeah, he is.
He's getting
He's
big.
as big as he's going to get.
Yeah, I mean, I know he doesn't have much left to go, but
he, like I said, he loves to be on my shoulder. You can hear him snorting.
Yeah, I hear him purring. For lack of a
Yeah,
better description. Is he a
he's
pug?
a.
Is that what he is?
Yep. There you go. Say hi.
There
Oh
he is.
yes.
Hey, buddy.
Okay, there. That's you, buddy. That's you. Huh. He's looking at himself on the monitors. He's kind of freaking out.
I see that.
Yeah, he's a good dog.
Yep,
He's a good dog.
Yeah, well, I see your post about him, and he is a cute little booger, no question. Big on, full of dog breath, right in Jim's face.
Oh yeah. That's something he loves to do.
Jim, do you remember Zemeta guitars? I don't recall these.
Oh yeah, I do.
I was thinking he was talking about Zemetas, but I don't think that's what he's referring to. Zemeta guitars.
Zemeta? Oh, I thought he meant Zemetas.
No, not Zemetas.
Those are the ones that were like real artistic. Is that the one you're talking about? Is Zemetas?
No. This is another one called Zemeta. It says Ron Wood used to play one.
Oh, yeah, that's the Zemetas. That's the ones. They're artistic. Yeah, they're very artistic guitars. Ron Wood had one. Let's see if we look up Ron Wood.
They look like Les Pauls, but they're smaller and skinnier with like narrower waists, for lack of a better description. That's what Zemetas is. So if that is what you're talking about, then yes, I'm very familiar with them. They're the great guitars. Matter of fact, I was just looking at them.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just looking at them here on the interwebs just a few minutes ago, because I saw. I think I got an email from them. I think I'm on their email list somehow. And I guess they've got a few clearance models on their website right now they're trying to get rid of. So.
Yep. They're beautiful guitars. They're works of art. I've only known one person that actually played one. It's like the what the heck's the name of that? The PRS Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually seen one gigged, and the guy from Bad Company, who does guitar collecting as well, had one, and he was actually playing it at a live show. And I was like, I've never seen a Dragon taken out of its case, much less played at a live gig.
Everybody's afraid something's going to happen to it. Those things are worth $30,000.
Yeah. Top end one I've seen for 50. So that's. If you're lucky enough to get on a list to buy one, I think you got to pay $12,000-$15,000. Crazy.
Down. That's up front.
Yeah. That's what you pay up front.
Yeah.
That's pay the rest when the guitar comes in.
Yeah. I think the most notable artist I can think of that I know played as Zemetas was one of the guys from the Black Crowes, though the guy's name escapes me at the moment. Black Crowes are one of those bands that I listen to a lot of the music and I love their music, but I couldn't tell you a single one of any of their band members' names. But one or maybe even both guitar players from that band played Zemetas at one point.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, I think especially with our technical difficulties. No, with our technical difficulties prior to getting this thing going, we are well past our target time, target shoot time. But anyway. So, for everybody that hung out with us here on the live chat today, thank you so much for being patient and hanging in there with us while we got that straightened out. I think this is a lot of fun. Hopefully, get to do this, this format a little bit more often one of these days. So, thank you to Jim as he's getting his face, as he's getting a dog shower right now. Thank you to Jim for joining us and co-hosting with me here today. Please go check out the Practical Guitars podcast. You can find that where pretty much all podcasts are found these days. And you guys are really doing more YouTube, or at least as much YouTube now, aren't you?
Yeah.
So
drop
your.
We've even got David. David has started a Twitch stream. So
okay.
Yep.
Is your YouTube channel different from the Practical Guitarist channel? Or are they? I'm sure
Nope.
subscribe to both of them.
The
Same one,
Practical
right?
Guitarist podcast. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
Drop a link down there in the chat for everybody.
Yep.
If you don't mind.
Okay.
So
I will.
And then go check them out. So, yeah. So, signing off. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Everybody enjoy the rest of your weekend.